Okay, so this is about just a basic wind setup with some particles, and it would also the setup also works for smoke. So let's go through this. Okay, so there's some basic context geometry here, and then in that I have just called it buildings and air, which is just a large box that I put around everything for the size of the simulation. And then there's a that is in this geometry node here, which I created and called context. And then in here, there's a flow. There's another geometry node for the flow. So let's call this flow 2. And let's turn off the turn on hide other objects, and let's go in here. Okay, so let's do an object merge and another object merge. And this one will pump into something called air. And this one will pump into something called collision. Okay, let's go here and select the air. Here, let's select the uh, build. Okay, and then here I can do a VDD from polygons, and I will call that, that'll be a distance VDP, and let's call this collision. And then we'll do another one over here, and we'll call this one will be a fog VDB, and we'll call this background fog. And then we're going to create a pyro solver. Pump this one in here, and this one in here. And then in the pyro solver, um, let's first do a volume noise fog here. And let's set this to background fog for the name. And let's set the operation to set. And let's set the range to maximum. I'm going to set this maximum value to 0.001. And then let's go in the Pyro Solver, go to our sourcing tab, and we'll change this from, let's turn off the temperature, turn off the flame. Let's change this to background fog. Let's change the operation to minimum, or maximum, and it goes into the density. It means we'll always take the maximum of the inputs. So if there's something more than the background fog, it'll be that. And if there's nothing, there'll always at least be the background fog. For now, I'm going to turn off this vel source. I'm going to go to my setup, and I'm going to change this to the dense simulation and the OpenCL. And I'm going to give myself a minimum of some substeps so that my collisions work. Then I will go to my bounds over here, and I'm going to first make a box right here. And this box, I'm just going to show you something. I'm going to turn this on. Uh, um, and just show this box. And then I'm going to go um, B box, backslash air, end quotations, comma, B underscore X min, X size. And that will set that there. And then I'm going to copy this over here. Same thing, copy, paste, Y size, B sum. And then I'm going to do centroid, comma, backslash air, backslash, comma, and then it is D underscore X. And that is setting the center point. Okay, so now this box is the, I'm going to call this null, call this simulation bounds. And then I'm just going to go here, copy parameter, go into my pyro solver, and I'll go limit maximum size, and I'll go paste expression. And then I'll go back to this box, copy parameter, go into the pyro solver, paste expression. And I could have done a paste relative reference, and then it would just refer always to this box, but I just pasted the same code in, and I just used this thing here to kind of generate the expression and make sure I was doing it correctly. Okay, so now this is set to the same size as the simulation, and then I'm going to go here to my voxel size, copy parameter, and wherever I have a VDB, I'm going to paste relative reference in the voxel size. And then I'm going to go in here to my collisions, and I'm going to go to my ground planes, and I'm going to turn on the closed below Y ground plane. And I think that should be correctly at 0 because I think I set this on correctly to 0. But if I want to check, I can do a grid, turn this on, and yeah, it's right at the bottom. Okay, at this 0, 0 height. If I make it 1, you can see it's moving up. Okay, so and then if I go into the pyro solver, this in the collisions, if I go to my fields tab here, I don't want my smoke to dissipate, so I'm going to turn off the dissipate, and I'm going to turn off the flame. Now I'm going to go to my shape tab, turn off the buoyancy, and I'm going to turn on the wind. Open this up. I think the wind is going in the negative X, but it could be the positive X. I'm not sure. Let's make this 5. And then let's go turn on a little disturbance, a little turbulence. And then let's go to the advanced tab. This is where I see what fields are colliding. So I don't need this flame here, but it's fine to leave it. And this is what improves the collisions if they're ever not working. I don't need to do anything there. Go to my output. I don't need to output this flame, but I do want to output the pressure. And that should be invisible. And let's go back to the collision tab. I think I forgot to choose the source for my collisions. So I want to do this SDF plus volume velocity, and it's named collision. Okay, and now if I go to this flow and I turn on the pyro solver, I should see kind of nothing happening if I play this. Just filling up with smoke around the buildings, very, very faintly. Okay, so now I want to add, I'm just going to add a regular smoke source very briefly. So that would be if I just made I'm just going to make a box, make a sphere. Let's just translate that. Transform. And we'll just go into the main thing here and hit enter. Drag it this way. There we go. Okay, so that is fine, and that I'm going to do a BDD from polygons, and this I'm going to call smoke, and let's do a volume noise fog, smoke, do a set max. Here we'll do 1 and 0.5. And then we can go down here and turn on the animation, and we can different kinds of things. I wanted to do this. Enable remap ramp. Be able to, oh, I don't have it on. That's why. Should be able to see okay. And now that I can go over here and do a null, call this sources, do a merge, bring the smoke, the air into the sources, put that in here. Smoke. Okay. And then here in the Pyro solver, we can go back to our sourcing. We can add to the density field. I'm going to leave the operation on add, and we'll call this smoke. Okay, and now if I turn on the Pyro solver, um, yeah, we can see all of that. So this little stepping here is because maybe I need um, in my setup, I might need more sub steps. Okay, and then this smoke seems a little dense to me, so I'm going to go here and I'm going to make it the minimum value 0, the maximum value 0.5, and then I'm going to maybe also uh, make this box a little bigger, set it to be the entire length. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to copy parameter. Oops. Want to get that, I can do a delete channel, and then I'm just going to do bbox. This should have been just do bbox. And then it looks like I need to move it. Let's do this. I go copy parameter here, and I go paste relative reference here, and then I do divided by 2, that keeps it from going down below, taking the y height, dividing it by 2 for the center. So if I made this taller, it would stay there. Okay, and now if I look at my transform, I moved it all the way over here. Let's turn that back on and maybe move it a little more. Okay, so now if I go back to my Pyro solver, I can go in here, turn this on, and then there's one more thing I need to do always, which is in the output. I need to go here and click this add wind to velocity field if I'm using the wind. Otherwise, it will not really work the way I think it should. So I'm going to go to my smooth shading here. I'm going to turn off this outline, and let's play this. It's too tall. It is covering the buildings completely. Okay, let me make this shorter again. Do a volume visualize. Turn this on, and here I can show the smoke field and I can ramp it so it's kind of more contrasty. Excellent. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of go out of here for a second, and I just want to turn off this flow so we don't see it, and then I can go back in here. And now I'm going to go show all objects so I can see those. Okay, so that's like a basic smoke setup, and I could have more um, uh, smoke sources. I could play with the way this smoke looks. Um, I could add more turbulence. I could add initial turbulence to the velocity field in a different way. I could take this, if I wanted to make a source of velocity that isn't wind, I could add a box for the, like a local velocity source. But basically, um, that's the simplest setup. And in here, in this volume visualization, if I want to see, the pressure field, I could change this. I could use this here. I can see it. I can change this to, um, there's the pressure, but it's only displaying within the smoke. If I want to see it everywhere, I need a field that will show it. So that's why I sometimes create one more field here called color. And then I go into my sources and I use this CD field. Copy just makes it always equal to the input value. Okay, and then if I go to my volume visualization, I now have something in the CD field, so I can use that to display like the complete kind of pressure. Of course, this color is going to black, so that's why you don't see it. There you go. Okay, and then in order to make this more transparent, I can give this a value. I can do this CD field a value. I can do a volume noise fog, put it in here, do a set minimum maximum, and I can do like a 5.5. Use this to color, and then if I bring this down, right, it's I can do copy parameter, paste relative reference, and then I can control it just here, so you can see that. Or you can do a volume slice. And turn on the instead. Oops, sorry. It would be pressure here. Okay. That's how that works. Okay, so let's go back and turn on um the take this off, turn on the density, and see that. Okay, so now let's eject some particles through this. So all you have to do, oh, I'm gonna do one other thing. Okay, so there we have that. Okay, so let's now make some particles. So let's make a grid. Let's turn on this grid. Let's do a transform. Actually, I'm gonna do something different just to show you. Well, I'll just, let's turn on a transform node. Put it here. Let's rotate this grid 90 degrees. Let's scale it by point. Well, I'm going to just set the dimensions instead. Okay, and then here I will again move this off to the side here. I turn my bounding box so I can see it. Excellent. Okay, and then I'm going to do a data, gather some points. This is the number. Um, and yeah, okay. And then I will going to call these a point velocity. Just give them some initial velocity. And let's do a set to value, and we'll do the same incoming value as the wind. So they don't like accelerate, they're already have that value. And then what you can do is just go to the one that I gave you. You can copy the way I set up the PopNet. You could paste that here. And if we go inside here, I've already set up a few things. Okay, so in here, um, you got to go up here to um, this sourcing. And in here, this is the life expectancy. So this is how long they will live in seconds. And this all points first context geometry means it's bringing in the scatter that you just put in. So if you use something else, it will it if you use the default, I think it's on use dot objects or something, which just generates its own points. And then yeah, okay. And then this creates a group. This pop kill here, this um, deletes them when they go out of the boundary. So we need to uh, change this code here so it is air. And this double backslash means that it's one level up from this. Actually, instead of doing that, it's easier if I just go up here to this box and I go copy parameter and I go back into the PopNet and I go paste relative reference and then I go up here and I go copy parameter and I go back into the PopNet and I go paste relative reference. Okay, so now it won't get deleted. It'll get deleted when they leave the the boundaries. Okay, and then this node, pop it vec by volume, is what's controlling the flow. So I need to give this over here a name. I can create a null and call it pyro out. And then over here in the PubNet, I can change this to, can select uh, pyro. Maybe it's this pyro. Do I not call it pyro out? Oh, flow two. Here it is, pyro out. Okay, and then that will source in this, and then this collision behavior thing says that it groups things with an impact and gives them a color. You could delete these things. It's just the setup that I gave. And then this over here, um, there's a, a ground plane that I put in here. And then there's also the geometry. So I need to go up here and select the um, collision and make sure it's colliding with those. And then that comes down and outputs all together. Okay, and if I go to the pop solver here, um, these are the sub steps. So I might want to increase this if it's not looking good. And then nothing else. And I think here, the collisions, this is where you set the bounce and the friction of the particles. But the particles shouldn't really collide with the objects. They should work, but the collision behavior is sort of extra, given that the solver is working. Okay, so now if I that the air is so now if I go on here, I turn this on, I should see these. Whoa, so many particles. Okay, so I need to reduce significantly reduce the number. And maybe in the PopNet, I'm not sure. Uh, this this adds them every frame. So if I didn't want them to add every frame, I'd have to change that with an expression. Let's see how this looks. They're colliding with the ground and turning red. So I'm actually going to make sure that I'm going to move my this up a little bit, this grid. Need to change this. So in this scatter, if I go to the, I'm going to reduce this a lot. And if I go to this C and I do $ FF, it'll change as I develops. So now they won't always come in the same spot. Okay. You can just use the setup that I created previously. I'm just doing it again. Okay. And then I can do a volume. I can do a vertical trail. Here I can do a color. And here I can change the color of the group impact to make them, let's say, blue. Um, and then I can do a particle trail. And here I can set my shape, the duration. No, they're not impacting the ground anymore. Okay, so that's how you can get that sort of collision behavior. And then up here at the at the higher level, if I want to see both the the particle flow and the context at the same time, I can create another geometry node here. Go in here, I can do an object merge, and I can select the uh, particle trail, and then I can go up here. Now they'll both be there in this view. So let me go back to flow, put these particle trails, and okay. And then if I actually don't want them to display as points like this, I can go to my D, my options, and I can go here to uh, visualize display particles as little spheres. Okay, and then they'll display as these little spheres. And if I were to, instead of you wanted variable size, you can go to this node that I gave you here in the flow, this little attribute fob, and you can paste that in uh, over here. And what that does is it just um, it adds a size. Uh, it adds a size. Uh, and there's also a like a noise on here. I think. See how I set this up. There's a ramp which is controlling the uh the noise, and then there's a scale here. So there's some variability in the size. Okay, and then I can just play that. Okay, and if I wanted to add a different velocity source, I could make another box here. Let's add our own velocity source. Um, let's just do a transform. And let's move that box sort of up over here. And then let's do a VDB. We have to do this one in a different way. I need to create a VDB. I need to make it a fog volume, vector float, displacement velocity acceleration, and I need to call it uh, in V or something. And then let's go back to the Pyro solver, go to the uh, setup, copy parameter, paste relative reference on the voxel size, and then I need to do a VDB activate, and I can do that here. Um, and I need to check this reference. Now that's should be there. And then I can go to one of the other things that I created for you guys where um, I gave you nodes that allow you to import geometry. So let's uh, go into that file, allow you to assign vector values to vector fogs. I think there might be a vector attribute adjust attribute vector fog volume noise vector. Not sure if this works. It's supposed to be the um, in V, and it's supposed to be the let's do set, let's do max, and let's do a volume trail to see if it looks correct. This would be the VDB in here and the and it would need to be in the, I need points. That's right. I need to do a volume scatter volume points from volume, and then it's the volume that goes. Volume goes in the first one, the points go in the second one. Nope. Actually, I had this backwards. The VDB goes in here. That goes in there. This is not working though. So this is not letting me set the volume in a way. So you need to go to the node that I gave you, which is in any of the files. But I think the easiest one is the two types of ventilation file. And in this mixing ventilation, this is just the volume source here. So you could have just not recreated it and just copied this whole thing, or this is the node that does the work that you can go into this, paste it, put it here. And this sets a direction, let's say -1 and a multiplier of 5. And it needs to say in V. There you can see velocity going that way. And then I can take this volume here, connect that to my sources. And then in here, that will be in my sourcing. I need to look at this bell source. It's going to be in V. And you could have just gone to the other file that I gave you here and just copied this for a velocity source. This part is just to display. So really, this is the velocity source. This is to display. When you could have copied this as a fog source and then just replace the box, which is here. That's exactly what I have. This little thing right here. Um, look at it. This little thing that I recreated here is That is this. This is this. This little thing here is this smoke source. They're the same. An input, a transform, a VDB, a von Lemoids fog. For the smoke source and for the velocity source, an input, a VDB activate, and then this custom node that I created. Okay, so then in here, now if I go to my visualization, there should be something crazy happening. Oh, I think they're blowing into each other. Okay, I was hoping that they would blow. Uh, I must have put. Oh, I disconnected all the other sources. This needs to go into the merge. This is something huge. So we make sure that we see it. There you can see particles getting blown in a different direction. Okay, so that's how you set this up. But really, what I would do is go in here to the one that I gave you and just copy it. The reason I'm setting this up again actually is this one, though, has a little bit of a different type of source, which is unfortunate. So actually, I'm going to upload this again. This new version has um, has a simpler sourcing setup. So you can use that one. It has the same type of smoke source that we've always been using, and it also has a velocity source. Okay, that's that.